Brace yourself for the wildest ride of your life. It's the craziest book Chris Akin has ever written, and other things I should not say. Get ready for over 500 pages of pure, unfiltered debauchery. From his military years, Chris Akin spills the shocking stories of sex, partying, violence, and the stuff that's so wild it's probably illegal. You've heard the tales on the Classic Metal Show, but never like this. Don't wait. Get your copy now at chrisakin.net before the censors try to shut it down.
Hi, this is Richie Kotzen, and you're watching CMS TV.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another live edition of Chris Akin Presents. I am Chris Akin. That dude over there, that's Erik Ferentinos, the guy in the front, not in the back. And we are back. We took a week off so that I could be sick, but we are back now. So welcome back, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has been. And really, I haven't even hardly talked to you even in the last 2 weeks. You've been busy. I've been sleeping.
Well, we're glad you're recovered. Everybody knows they missed the show because you weren't feeling good last week. Yeah, a little bit of flu, but you're back for the attack.
I am definitely good. It was. I will say this: as much as I don't like to miss shows, I really didn't mind having a whole week of no shows. It was really kind of I'm doing a lot of shows, obviously, between the two sets, this one, the CMS. It's a lot of hours in front of the camera, plus interviews, etc. It's a lot of hours, and I wish I could have had the time off and been healthy, but at least I got to just kind of chill for a little bit, which was good. So, but all good now, and I'm ready to rock, ready to do this, and I'm going to start right off running, man.
Okay.
I saw something this morning. I think it was this morning, either this morning or late last night. And immediately I was like, Erik probably knows about this, but if he doesn't know about this, it's going to horrify him.
Right.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, one of your least favorite places to be on this planet is Atlanta Airport.
Oh, right. I'm there all the time.
And you love it, right?
No, opposite of that.
Did you see the news out of the Atlanta airport today?
No. What's going on there?
Oh, well, this is going to make you so comfortable then, my friend.
Oh, God.
Because at the Atlanta airport, we had two planes crash into each other.
Oh, no. What airline was this?
I'm not sure. But here's the two planes that I don't know if you can see this real good. There's no way to make this bigger, but
right.
There's this plane over here on the left side that's kind of parked, and there's this guy here that's driving.
Okay.
And we'll watch what happens. So he's driving up. Guess he doesn't see that plane. Oh, he's knocking the tailwing off the plane.
Oh, wow.
One more time so you can see it. And boom.
Oh. And they were like sitting there waiting to take off.
Waiting to take off.
You guys aren't going anywhere.
No.
I'd be so pissed if I was one of those passengers on that plane that they clipped that thing on.
How lucky are they that nobody got hurt? From what I heard, nobody got hurt.
Right.
I mean, dude, if this plane, think about it, the plane that's actually moving that hit the tail wing, what if it was, say, another 2 feet to the left?
Right.
It would have chopped somebody's head off.
Possibly.
You know.
Yeah, you got the very first thing that's in the back is that second area that they make drinks in and stuff, and then there's
Right.
the bathroom, so it would give you a few more feet to clip, unless
Still,
somebody's in the John.
I just assume that somebody that's in an airport all the time like you, this
Right.
has to make you feel comfortable about flying, right?
No, it doesn't. I mean, it looks like the closest plane there's a Southwest plane,
Yeah.
but these
So-
different airlines might take the same runways. So
Why do you think it is that we're having so many airplane problems these days? Seems like, I mean, we got landing gear falling off of multiple planes. We've got now do you ever, you're 50, right?
51.
51, I'm 55. I don't ever remember planes crashing on the runway. I mean, I remember them crashing, like, but I don't remember them driving into each other.
No,
Ever.
sometimes you see the baggage handler guy who does it sometimes.
Yeah,
seen
but
that.
never this. I mean, what is going on with planes?
I don't know. I could only guess. Maybe I know that they lost a lot of pilots in the last couple of years. That could have something to do with it. The more seasoned ones aren't around anymore. Because a lot of I don't even want to get into all that, but it could be they're younger. I mean, the pilots I'm seeing look younger to me. So it
Okay.
could be a lack of experience, perhaps.
Do you think they're not trained as well?
Well, it's that experience that gives you the ultimate
Yeah.
training, but no, I can't speak really on it. I haven't heard too much of the whys. I can only guess.
No. I mean, I don't fly almost never, so I don't have any experience with it. All I know is in the old days, whenever you talk to a pilot, the first thing they would tell you is about their, I flew this in the war, or I flew this in the
Right.
military or whatever. And if you're saying they're all young, they're probably not military guys, right? Probably not, or most of them are probably not former.
I'm not sure, I'm not sure if they were military. I know that that's the go-to for the airlines, that they hire military
Sure.
pilots. That's where they go in and do a commercial after getting out of there. So I'd be surprised. I know, but they can't. There's a smaller fraction of them that do just learn how to fly and actually go commercial. I don't think it's a prerequisite that you're in the military first.
Right.
Maybe the training in the military is better. I don't know which guys are crashing. We need a little more info on this. My question is he fired today? Is he turning his
I can't imagine
wings
that he
in?
got. I can't imagine that they departed and put him on another plane to take somebody to Jersey or something.
Yeah, like, was this guy drunk? Because sometimes they drink.
There could be that too, yeah. I'm seeing this a bunch, and I'm going to put it up only so I can dispel it. I'm not saying that there are not DEI hires in all walks of life that are bad. I'm saying that and I could be way, way off the mark on this. I am speaking completely out of my ass right now. But I'm assuming in a position like an airline, you still got to pass a shitload of tests in order to be given that front seat. I don't imagine that they bring you in and say, "Oh, you're black, sit down." I imagine you still got to know every controller in that cockpit, or else
There's not that many controls in there.
Is there not? I don't even know.
No,
this.
I recently, I had posted a short video on my page somewhere where they let me get in the cockpit after a harrowing day of almost missing the flight, and they held this whole flight for me. And these were younger guys, by the way. I would guess they looked to me like 40 at the oldest, early 40s maybe. But they had held the plane. They played instruments themselves, and they sympathized with our situation that they needed me for this show tomorrow, and it was the last flight of the night.
Right.
And these guys were cool enough to wait. I ended up having so many issues even after we finally landed. The jet bridge at Minneapolis did not open all the way.
Oh,
And
wow.
funny enough, I was just there again. We had played we had to go to Minnesota. No, was it Minnesota maybe? I don't know. Anyways, the same jet bridge didn't open again. It was just like the same one. I don't know. I wish they could fix their crap over at these airports. But anyway, back to the pilots. They let me. I introduced myself after the flight. I go, "I was the guy you waited for," and they're like, "Oh, hey, you want to come sit down in the cockpit?" And I was like, "Do I?" And I filmed it for a second, and I looked, and there wasn't really that much going on. There was looked like under 40 buttons that were around. There was a main stick. Yeah. I mean, I was actually underwhelmed. I remember the older aircraft had much more stuff going on everywhere.
All right, does that make you more comfortable or less comfortable? Because in order to have less buttons means that there's more computers.
Probably, you know.
Which means
it was
there's
737. It was 7. I believe it was.
I'm just thinking the less buttons there are, the less likely they are to be able to fix something by doing something.
Right. Well, I mean, as long as it's not an Airbus, those are the ones I hear the most negative things about.
Yeah.
Computer wise, like I guess the other jets, they could muscle them in if they had to. If they lost the engines, they could still pull on the rudder
stick or whatever. Right.
Take the stick and actually try to land this thing somehow. Where those other ones, you're pretty much screwed if something happens. But I think they've phased out a lot of those Airbuses.
Okay. If
Most
you
of them
were
using
on
the
one of those
737.
planes and they said, "We need someone to land it," would you step up and do it or no?
Think about that all the time. I have that hero fantasy going of I wonder how freaked I would be. And man, I think I would have trouble keeping my composure in a situation like that, knowing that I'm going to have to hit the ground in this thing, being under-trained for it.
I can totally see it too. As you get close, you're screaming, "Ah!" As you're going down.
Right.
I mean, I don't imagine you're just like, God.
In the movies I've seen, they've usually have somebody that gets on and talks them through it. Okay, look over to your left. You see that blinking red button?
Right.
You push that. And in those situations, I know I would at least keep my composure enough to sit down and listen to what he's saying. And after seeing what's in there isn't too much stuff there. I mean, I would imagine it's the speed, the altitude.
Right. And holding that nose up enough so it doesn't go straight into the cement.
Right. Now, I don't know if they're able to take over the plane. I thought they had that since 9/11 or something, that they were able to.
They probably do now.
Take control of the plane if they had to. That technology's there for them. I remember that was a anti-terrorist thing they were putting into play in the early 2000s. So I would imagine that's there.
Right. I'd imagine so. I mean, I don't know. I didn't do this. Well, I did do this just to scare you. I ain't going to lie.
Yeah, you're making me very uncomfortable. I only have to fly every weekend for the rest of the year.
And most of the time through Atlanta.
Yeah, definitely have more flights through Atlanta.
That's why I thought of it, dude. Is when I saw it this morning on the news and they were like, "Here at Atlanta Airport," I was like, "Atlanta?" That woke me up because you talk about Atlanta all the time. And then when they saw one plane just smash into another, I was like, "Oh my God!"
Well, at least it was on the ground, It wasn't in the air or something.
And nobody was hurt, nobody was killed or anything. All that stuff is great,
right?
But for you, who you in the Atlanta airport would be like most people getting on the highway to go to work,
right?
It's the same level of travel.
There's 600 people there between the two planes probably that are going to have a terrible day that aren't going anywhere. Right. How are they going to get them all on another flight? I don't know what time this happened at, but they're probably all staying in Atlanta, which is awful. I can tell you firsthand.
Well, thankfully, you have not been in a plane crash. But from what I understand, you had your share of no sleep because of the planes in the last week or so, yes?
Right. Not because of the planes. We did play with Vince Neil in Las Vegas this past weekend, and it was record heat going on in Vegas at this time, and we had to play outdoors, which was kind of tough. But it was Fremont Street. Are you familiar with Fremont Street?
I've been there, yeah.
In Vegas. I mean, it is crazy at night on Fremont Street. And there's it's almost like an outdoor strip bar, pretty much. There's just dancers everywhere. One thing that was really funny, I put a clip of it on my page. this guy in an ape suit was like dancing to this it's all hip hop. You just hear hip hop going on through the system all through FEMA. And this guy in an ape suit's just shimmying and doing all these dance moves and stuff. It was like crazy. There was these dominatrix women like pulling guys over and whipping them on the street. There was women on top of bars. It was like craziness going on. And I was walking with a friend of mine and his wife and kid through all this. So that was kind of uncomfortable for, you know, their whatever he is, 11-year-old.
Right.
He's seeing all this, you know, walking down the street. But basically we had to be up. I think lobby call was 4 a.m. to go to the Rocktoberfest in Hinckley, Minnesota. So I was going to have to wake up myself by 3:30 in the morning, and it's already, you know, 11 or 12. Well, there's no signs of Fremont Street shutting down at that time. It was just, you know, I was like, oh my God. And I always forget to like ask for a room not on that side, because I was literally like, you know, overlooking it. And it's crazy just how loud the bass swells up with that kind of music.
Right.
And there is no sleeping. Like you would need some serious like canceling headphones or something to put on to diffuse that. So yeah, there was no sleeping for me. So that first night, no sleep. Got to Rocktoberfest, no sound check, and we probably should have gone back to the hotel and gone to sleep, but instead we were standing around there trying to figure out what we were going to do with the situation. What ended up happening was just before we went on, we did like a line check and tried to get our inner monitors all at least good enough to go out there. I think the show sounded good. Any of the videos I saw from either night, the band, we sounded good. It was the first time I was using these Ultimate Ears,
baby.
Right. Yep. That Joe Lester of Steel Panther, for fans of Steel Panther, he works with Ultimate Ears, and he was like my connect over there. Some people were saying that's a great gift because I had thanked him when I got it. No, he did not give them for free. I had purchased them. I mean, I got a modest, you know, artist discount for it, which I appreciated.
He just gave you the recommendation.
Well, Matt Thorne, you know, told me I should get these, and Blas Elias told me I should get these.
Okay.
Because he, you know, Blas plays with, you know, Trans-Siberian Orchestra. He plays in the Rock Vault in Las Vegas. And he's like, this is what people do now. This is how all the artists are expected to be using these when you're playing in any kind of gig like that. Okay. So it's an investment for the future too. If I was to get involved in something like Rock Vault or something like that, I would need these as well. So it's something that I had the money now, so I did it. What was cool is we had a show, these shows this past weekend, and it was only a week before that Matt gave me his number. That Monday, I hit him up. He got back to me. They set up a 3D ear scan the very next day at their Irvine office.
Okay.
And you basically go up there, and she puts a thing in your ear and does the sonar or whatever. Right. She happened to I don't know if she was just, you know, yanking my chain, but she told me I had some of the best ears they've ever seen. It was just very no weird caverns going everywhere and all that. Okay. So it was very easy to get the mold, and I was like, okay, awesome. And it was they showed up, and I'll show you guys what they look like on here. You don't have to go full screen. I'll just pull them right here. But these are like clear. I chose the clear ones. They have different colors you can do. Okay. Yeah. But I like these because you can see the guts inside of them, and I always thought that was cool and stuff.
Yeah, I've got the red ones with the guts.
Yeah, that's cool.
Red and clear.
Nice. Yeah, you can get little snap-on things with these if you wanted to pay extra, change the colors. But I was like, I don't have hair to like hide these things under, and I'm like, God, I don't want to make it too pronounced. Sure. And I thought these would look the least conspicuous, if you will.
Right. Sure.
It was I had a little bit of anxiety, you know, going this route because, you know, the 25 years in this band, I've never used something like this on stage. So it was all of a sudden you have headphones on, and it's like you're listening to the show through headphones, and it's weird. It's honestly, but
does it also feel weird that like you don't want to move around as much because you're afraid of knocking them out or anything?
Well, no, I mean, that was the only benefit really, is that wherever you move around, it sounds exactly the same.
Okay.
That was an issue on these bigger stages. Like if I was to go, hey, I want to go rock out to the people over here on the left, and I go over there, all of a sudden I can't hear my guitar at all anymore.
Okay.
Or at best out of the side fill. These side fills at these bigger shows are cranking sometimes, and those will blow your ears out.
Right.
So these are actually protecting my ears. I already suffer from tinnitus. So this actually will be better for me in the long run. And it does articulate everything. So we hear every little nuance of a mistake or, anything like that. It's a little drier than being at the concert and hearing the loud, big performance. Those kind of things are covered. But
it's like a board feed.
Yeah, pretty much. But I think we're all on them now. Johnny's using them, Bloss is using them, Matt's using them. Steven's the only one not. But I don't know if he would make the change to that, and I don't know if he would show up to sound check.
After 50 years of doing it, I don't think he's going to be making any changes.
Probably not. So, but as far as the band goes, I think we're tighter now from it, and I can do it with this. After doing the 2 shows, I go, okay, I got it. This is cool. And it's helping me to put on a little better performance, being able to hear my vocal consistently where I don't get too hot up on the microphone, to be where I'm shouting into it or whatever. I can keep better mic control with what I'm hearing. And anything I saw looked good. So it was a good report on that. The things fit perfect. I'm going to bring them out. The other thing I had to buy, I apparently had to buy, is a receiver for it. And I got a Sennheiser G4. That was another $1,000.
Right.
Now, it turns out we haven't even needed that yet. Both of these shows, they gave us the transmitters and the receivers and everything. So that was
is that a box or is that a thing like this thing?
It is somewhat like that. I mean, it has a little transmitter that you would put in your back pocket. That's a wireless transmitter, and then there's the receiver part, which is plugged. I have plugged into a pedal board with a mixer, and that's what they would be sending a signal to my mixer, and then that would be going into the receiver, and then that wirelessly sends to these from there. But these bigger shows, they seem to have all that. They have eight transmitters for the band, because again, that's where most of the artists are using these, and I've known that for a long time. Most singers I've seen have been using these things for 20 years now. Also, all the bands that are on tracks, that is kind of important too, that they hear all these little samples and stuff that are going on. You tell them what you want in there, obviously. You let the monitor guy know, I want drums, guitars, vocals. I only want mine here. Pan it this way, pan it that way. You try to get it to sound as awesome as possible, but you're getting a stereo mix in there. So that's kind of cool. And I mean, I got used to it pretty quick. I'm going to stay with using them. Cause I think it helps the overall sound of the performance, that everybody's playing tighter. They can hear each other better. Everybody knows where they're at a little easier.
Right. Now let me ask you this has nothing to do with the gear as much as I'm just curious what happens for the band. I know you have gigs for the rest of the year, right? Pretty much every weekend.
Yes.
Is Bloss gonna be leaving for a while?
Right.
Is he going to do TSO?
Yeah, he does do TSO. I think that is November, December. So I don't want to be the one. I know who's playing drums for us, and it's somebody very cool that everybody knows. That's
I was just curious if he was still in TSO or not, or if he was out of that.
Oh no, he's totally in it. That's that's his life,
Okay.
And honestly, since you brought that up, I haven't really checked out TSO too much, especially with him or whatever. But I saw some drum camp footage of Bloss playing with them, and wow, that is an amazing performance. That You've
never seen it?
I've never seen it. No. So not really.
And Bloss now, you and Susan need to go see it.
Right.
Even if you hate the Christmas music or what, it doesn't even matter. It's such a great show. Well, I don't like the music especially, but it's a killer show. I mean, it really is a great show.
Right. I mean, they got it's like Kiss. They got guitars coming up out on the platforms and fire and flames and all this distracting stuff. And these guys have to be really on point with these Christmas songs that they're doing. It's very classical, you know, dun, 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 dun. I don't know, but it's like the Nutcracker, the sugar dance of the
Right.
Plum Fairy. I don't know.
Right. It's a great show, and there's a lot of great people in that band too, dude. I mean, in the West band, which I guess would be the one that you're seeing, Zach Stevens, I think, is in that, and
The Vixen singer sings in it.
the Vixen singer Mariah from Plush is in that.
Right? Mariah got the gig.
I'm trying to think who.
I think
else.
Jordan Ziff is on guitar. On
Joel Hoekstra, Jeff Scott
Right.
Soto.
there's an
A
East
lot of
Coast.
great people.
There's
Yeah,
an
there's
East Coast and a
West.
West Coast.
Right.
These guys end up doing multiple shows a day. It's like grueling. It's a whole thing. It becomes their life.
Right.
And they all get compensated very well for it. And it's pretty much enough for the whole year just in those 2 months. It's like when the guys do the crab fishing.
Right.
You know,
Right.
for 2 months, and they do this treacherous thing and then come back and, you know, they can chill for the rest of the year. It's kind of like that. But I would imagine everybody's practicing for that thing all year and staying in shape. And
Sure. Yeah, it must be a great gig to have. There's only been a few people that have ever left it. There really has only been just a handful of people that have actually left TSO. I think people, if you get in there, you realize that you won a lottery ticket and you stay on it.
right. Yeah, probably. I mean, you have to be pretty much the best of the best. As far as not
Yeah.
just a proficient player, but a whole performer. They want a performance going on.
Yeah, I think it probably has as much to do with the look too as the I think you'd have to grow your hair out for you to get in there. You'd have to definitely grow your hair out. They ain't taking any mohawks, I don't think, but
Well, we don't know that. And I really can't grow my hair out. You know, I don't have hair growing back here. You know, I'm in my 50s. But I think that I make up for that in my performances and my playing. Not that I would play in this thing, or I'm up to that level.
would you be comfortable playing in a suit?
Well,
That's
yeah,
a weird thing too.
I've played in not maybe, you know, I don't know what degree of a suit, but I've worn like blazers and stuff on stage. So it depends. But you know, in modern metal and stuff, I think the old stereotypes of having to have this certain 80s hairdo or something to play in the band has kind of gone by the wayside.
Yeah, that's true.
I think as long as like somebody looks cool, that's the important thing. You know what I mean? You don't want to slob up there, you know what I mean? Jamming, but somebody, you know, who's in shape and at least has a look,
Sure.
you know, in that sense. But, you know, I've never allowed myself to be disqualified over hair, you know, from anything. Sure. I mean, my talents are in my fingers and in my heart, you know, as far as that goes.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting. I'm interested to hear who's going to be playing for you guys, but we'll hear that probably in a few weeks.
Yeah, I think they'll figure that out within probably about a month. I just don't want to be the one to break that.
No. Lord knows that's all we need to do is because seems like everything's flowing well right now. We do not need to churn that up again, do we?
Right, and then Bloss will be right back with us because he's been definitely a big improvement to the band in a lot of ways. But I think the dude that's coming in is also a great performer and known, cool. And I think he's going to keep it rocking for those 2 months.
Right. Do you feel like, and I don't just mean just when he's there, but I mean, do you think when a guy like Bloss, who is, you know, very top end talent, do you think that makes all of you guys play better? Like raise your game?
I'd say so. I mean, it's made me also kind of invest some more too with everything, you know, clothes and just gear and stuff like that. Whatever I could do to be as professional, right. I'm trying to do as well. Plus, you know, I know Steven wants to keep things up at a higher level right now too, you know, sure. So I'm just trying to pull my weight. I just kind of worrying about myself right now. Just trying to put on the best shows I can. I'm walking 5 miles a day, trying to make sure I don't get too fat out there.
walking off that pizza.
Oh man, yeah, I do still eat crappy stuff. I mean, last night this was really cool. Susan and I went to see Beetlejuice,
Okay.
Beetlejuice 2, and that's why I have them up here. But we did the whole popcorn and soda and candy and all that shit.
Right.
I'm sure we both probably gained like 2 pounds last night. But we had a great time. She had to work at the office yesterday. I said, hey, let's meet over at the Carlsbad Mall over here. Our sushi place that we go to is like right across.
Okay.
I took her out for a sushi dinner at our spot. And then we went to an early show at the Regal, which was like at 6:30, which actually worked out nice because we're old. We go to bed by 9 or 10. You know what I mean? Usually. So it worked out. Like we had this great meal, headed over to the mall. I had done the movie tickets on the app, on there. So I had those. There was people that bought tickets, but most of the seats were open for that showing. So we got 2 good seats right in the middle. So we headed over there, got the big ass popcorn. But at the same time, I still had stopped at Dollar General and picked up the Raisinets, the Whoppers, the Junior Mints. Because that ended
all
up
the shit that you shouldn't be eating.
all the stuff I shouldn't be eating, but I still don't. I can pay for the big popcorn and the soda, but I'm not paying $7-8 a box for the candies and stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? I got all that stuff at the dollar store for like $4.
There you
got
go.
4 different things, and that's just the old.
Meanwhile, you'd have bought 1 box of Goobers for $9 at the theater.
I can't do it. But so treat her to dinner and a movie, and so Beetlejuice. It was I was told mixed reviews on it, but we had a lot of fun seeing it, and I think it definitely delivered to any fans of the franchise. Tim Burton, love his aesthetic that he uses on his films and everything, that kind of dark but not too scary kind of thing going on, and he continues that with this film. William Dafoe is awesome in it. Danny DeVito's got a part. The only guy missing in this was the dad from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Well, he's in like jail or something, isn't he?
I don't think he's in jail, but he's he definitely had to register as a sex.
He's like
offender.
He's a kid toucher or something.
They're
probably not bringing him in.
I don't know if he got caught with that. But I apparently he had all the images on the computer thing going on, and he got busted with an underage kid coming over to model under the guise of modeling for him for some art project, right?
Chris Hansen showed up at his door. Come in and have a seat.
Probably did. Now, it's the irony is like, okay, he wasn't in the movie, but they really had him in it a lot, in a sense of they did a whole claymation segment to explain why he died, because not to spoiler alert the movie, but in the movie he's dead. And they basically go, yeah, he was in like a plane crash, got eaten by a shark, all this stuff. And they have this whole claymation kind of segue to like go in there. And I thought that was interesting that they gave him so much screen time of him. They show a picture of him. So he is in the movie in the sense of them talking about it through half the movie. His character is brought up. So it's not like they just had moved on. Oh, yeah, he died. And anyway, and, it was like, they probably have at least 25 minutes of references to that guy. So for whatever that's worth.
The one thing that I've heard about that movie, and I don't know if this is true or not, you can tell me. In the original, and I don't think people remember this, but in the original, Beetlejuice was only in it like 10, 12, 15 minutes.
Like, was that it?
Yeah, it's not a lot. It's most of the story was Winona Ryder. And there was just like 15 minutes of Beetlejuice in the whole movie.
Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis. Now they're not in it either, but they had the ones that were important. Obviously, Winona Ryder. Right. The one that I thought was great is Catherine O'Hara.
Okay.
She was obviously in the first one, and she looks great still. She's got to be in her 70s, or something. But she plays Winona's mom, and she did a great job of it. And between her and Winona and Michael Keaton in there, I was good, and where they picked up the slack was getting Willem Dafoe and having Danny DeVito in there, and you're good. That's enough. Michael Keaton did a great job. It seemed to me that they didn't have as much special effects for him as they did maybe in the first one.
Right.
I think they really spent a lot. I felt like the first Beetlejuice was pretty groundbreaking.
Sure.
Where this one they might have been able to knock out a lot quicker.
Right.
Perhaps you'll have to watch it. Chris said he watched part of it.
Yeah, I did watch part of it. I'll have to watch.
Is it worth seeing in the movies? Yes. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up. Michael Keaton's great. William Dafoe. I think you won't be disappointed if you go and check it out if you're a fan of the first one. It was really cool.
Who did not have a crush on Winona Ryder back in the day? She still looks good.
She still looks good. They had a really beautiful woman in it that plays Beetlejuice's ex-wife. Her name's let me see. Her name's Monica Bellucci.
Oh yeah.
Do you know who that is?
Yes, I do. She's a stunner.
Yeah, she stuns in this one as well. And Danny Elfman is back to do the soundtrack on it, which sounded phenomenal. Like, hey, I was kind of taking it in as a musician while I was sitting there listening to what he created, and he does a lot of the same like Trans-Siberian Orchestra kind of stuff. But the amount of time and effort that must have gone into creating that symphony he has going in that Dolby stereo,
right?
I mean, it's pretty over the top. I mean, that guy is the master of doing that kind of music. So all that stuff's cool.
Well, you saw a movie. I saw a movie.
What did you see?
I saw Alien Romulus.
Oh man, I got to hear about this.
If you like, it's a pretty simple formula, really. If you like Alien and Aliens, you will like it.
Hey man, you like face huggers?
That's pretty much.
Hey man, you like gut busters? I like it all,
dude. I'm an Alien fan. I own all of them. I have been very disappointed in the last couple of releases of the especially Prometheus. I really did not like. This was a return to form. It was really, really well done. My favorite part of it probably has nothing to do with the acting or the kills or the monster or any of that. My favorite part of it was they went back to the really gritty, raw look of it. Remember in the first Alien, how it, we were in that world of Star Wars at that point when Alien came out. Right. And when, everything looked real nice. The Death Star looked cool, and even what were supposed to be shitty ships like the Millennium Falcon looked pretty cool, and X-Wings looked cool, and TIE Fighters looked cool. Then we had like Battlestar Galactica, and all their ships looked real cool, the Cylon ship and stuff. All that looked cool. And then you got Alien, and Alien looked like a garbage truck that was floating in space. It was a really dingy, which made it more scary to me because there was like nothing clean about it. It was just like dirty, and here comes this dirty, filthy, drooling, spitting creature. There was just something about it, and maybe I overmade that up in my head because I was like 8 or whatever when it came out.
Right.
But I loved that look. And then I don't know, did you see Prometheus at all?
Right. I own all these as well.
Okay.
I own all the Aliens, so I've seen them all.
So you remember how clean Prometheus was, all the white, and the white rooms, and it was a bad movie because it didn't fit. It didn't fit with the theme, I guess.
Right.
It was too clean.
Okay.
This is right back to that raw, dirty. All you needed was the ghost of Yaphet Kotto to come back, and it would have been perfect. I mean, it was. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Maybe a touch long, but I don't care. Give me a 3-hour movie as long as it's all good. I'm into that. So
right.
Yeah, well worth watching.
I think Prometheus. I don't know how much of the H.R. Geiger influence it had compared to the others. Am I saying his name right? Is it it's Geiger?
I think it's Geiger.
Okay. Yeah, his stuff was so unique. His alien artwork and everything, and his alien, there was nothing like it up until then. In the beginning, they used guys in suits to do the alien, and then in some of them, I think they went to a CGI one where it wasn't quite as good. I think when she goes to the prison one, I don't think they were in suits on that.
Yeah, no,
Sigourney Weaver. The stories took a weird.
Well, they had the idea. They made the 2 movies, and then because they were successful, they just kept making movies. It's kind of like every other movie from the 80s, the Jason Voorhees and the Freddy Krueger and all those other ones. They ran out of the ideas, but they just kept churning them out. Right. That's what they did.
Well, definitely
6 aliens.
The first 2 terrified our whole generation. I've told the story before, but the first time I saw the first Alien, my dad had VCRs and stuff, even in the in like the late 70s, and he had Alien on like VHS tape, and he hooked it up to a little TV, and they put it in my room, and they went out or something. They're like, here, and I stay home and watch Alien, and I was like 8. And this thing just grossed me out, freaked me out. I was really terrified watching it. Like, it's not something an 8-year-old, but you know, should have probably watched. But then by the time Aliens Part 2 came out, by then I was like 12, and I was already like starting to go to the movies, even by myself for stuff. And I went and saw that in the movies. And I loved it so much that I remember I stayed in the theater when it came on the second time. I acted like I was there early to see the second show, but I was still hanging out from the first one.
Right.
And loved that movie. And then the rest, none of them really had the same effect on me after the second one. I will disagree that I did enjoy Prometheus.
Did you?
I did, just in the sense that they kind of gave some answers of creation that I thought were intriguing and interesting. I liked the engineers and how they looked they were like humanoid, but looked a little more evolved or something,
right?
Or just better, genetically better. And you know, I didn't mind it. And Charlize Theron was in it.
Right.
She was cool. But it didn't quite have the same battling zombies or battling aliens like some of the other ones had.
Yeah, well, this one is back to the. I mean, I will say, and I'll give the spoilers. I'm telling you in advance. I'm going to tell you what I saw.
Okay.
So this goes back to the same way as the old school one. Remember in the old school one, in the first one, basically, you had all those guys. They were just kind of random scumbags. They weren't really good at what they were doing. They touched up some stuff which set the aliens loose, and the aliens went crazy. It's kind of like Star Wars Episode 4 versus Star Wars Episode 1, where it's almost the same plot. Because in this one, you have another collaboration of kind of misfit people, and a few of them get loose, and they accidentally turn off this temperature control thing, which makes all the face huggers come back to life.
Oh, nice.
And so then they come back to life and start picking off people. Sort of the same plot. You know, it's very similar in that way, but let's face it, are any of us watching alien movies looking for, you know, Academy Awards? I don't think so.
They always keep the same kind of theme, but usually there's like an AI life form aboard the ship that's actually like making sure orchestrates things because the corporation has an interest in the xenomorph, and it seems like in most of the ones that was the guy who was doing something to protect the alien in most cases, and the humans on board were always unaware of this agenda. They
never know what's up.
Except for Paul Reiser. Paul Reiser was, played the dick guy in the second one pretty well.
Right.
He seemed to be the only guy in the know.
Yeah. Are you going to go see this movie?
After hearing you say that, I think I would like to. The question is, can I get Susan to come see this movie?
Oh, is she not a horror person?
No, not at all. I'm kind of not so much anymore either, unless it's done tastefully. But she really loved last night. I could see she was laughing and having a good time. So that was a win for us as a couple.
I'm sort of with you with this with horror. I'm not really big into. I loved in the 80s and early 90s. You couldn't put a horror movie out that I didn't go and see. Like I lived for horror movies. In the later 90s and 2000s, it became more gore porn than horror. You know, when you had Saw and you had Hostel and, you know, movies like that, they lost me because there wasn't, look, some of the scariest movies really didn't have a whole lot of gore and blood. You know, the Poltergeist. Poltergeist was scary as hell as a kid. There's hardly anything really that's going on.
Just a couple scenes.
A couple. Same with like The Omen. The Omen, and what was the one with the house?
House? There is a movie called House.
No, it's got the rounded house with the windows. It looks like a face.
Amityville.
Amityville Horror. You know, all of those movies. But I was a huge fan then of kind of the cheaper movies, but would build like that horrific suspense in it, like Magic. I don't know if you ever saw Magic. Magic.
I remember Magic.
Magic was almost nothing happens the whole movie, but the 2 or 3 times something does, you're jumping over your couch running, you know, because it's just scary. And I love those kind of movies. I really like you. And maybe I'm reading this with you, but I don't like I'm yet to watch a full Saw movie. I just don't.
Agreed. I don't like to watch people get tortured.
I just don't dig. Well, you're going to have to cut his eye out and stick a key behind his eye. Get out of here with that shit. You know, I don't want to see that.
Or Hostel, or the Human Centipede, or those ones. It's just too much.
What was the one, too, where they were on the ski lift and the one guy jumped down and his legs like snapped in half? Oh, I was like, oh, that's too much for me. You
Sometimes just the music alone can work to creep you without like The Shining. The Shining is one of those ones that just
Shining is scary as shit, but again, not a ton really happens.
No.
There's not a lot of gore, and even the ones that did have the kills. You know, your Friday the 13th and Halloween and whatever. The kills were so goofy that you didn't really feel it.
Right.
You know,
Beetlejuice, also had a little bit of, gore special effects, but done in a cheeky way or whatever,
Sure.
Almost not animated way, but everything just seems so kind of surreal in the Beetlejuice movie, like almost like a weird dream or something.
Right.
Some of the Freddy Krueger movies were like that almost a little bit.
Like 3 and 4.
Yeah. But and those weren't too bad either. Like the Freddy Kruegers, those weren't too violent.
No, they were fine. I didn't mind those at all. You know, it's when it just got to be gore that I absolutely was like, forget this. I don't want to watch this. It's too much for me. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that makes me a pussy or whatever.
I guess there's enough of that in the world. You don't need to.
Yeah.
Put it at
there is. Well, that's it. I can watch the news and see that these days. But
one of my subscribers, big fans, Marsha, was asking about stuff in Ohio about people stealing people's pets. Like, I guess. What's going on there, Chris?
Springfield thing.
What happened?
I haven't seen it. Well, they imported 20,000 Haitian refugees to Springfield. Okay. And now all of a sudden we got a problem with pets being killed and people squatting and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's a problem. It's the problem that you're going to hear about more and more across the country because there's nowhere for these people. And I hate to say these people like some racist douchebag, but
right.
I'm going to, in this case, there's nowhere for them to live. So they're doing what they got to do to survive,
They're getting dispersed across the country, I guess.
Yeah. Well, they get flown all over the place. And I mean, dude, Springfield, Ohio, I don't know that before they moved people into it, it had 20,000 people.
Wow.
It's not a big city.
So it's
not-
doubled in half the population, or these?
Yeah, it's not Cleveland, it's not Columbus, it's not Cincinnati. It's a smaller, like my town is probably a similar size, and I think my town has 16,000 people.
Wow,
maybe
small. Yeah,
you know, I mean, it's not huge. It's, you know, it takes 5 minutes to drive from end to end, either north to south or east to west. It doesn't take very long. It's a smaller community. Springfield's a little bigger than that, but not that big. Yeah, it's scary as shit. That's why you'll never see me too far away from my guns anymore. That's for damn sure.
yeah. I mean, what do you people want to probably know how to stay safe in a situation like that.
Well,
But for one, I think, you know, obviously they should be harassing the hell out of all the mayors and you know, governors and stuff. They should, the whole population there should be relentless.
They should
with them for a solution. Firstly, and then if that doesn't work, yeah, shotgun to protect your pets and household.
And there's other things. There's things that are going on that are just so. You have to retrain yourself to be a little less human. And I hate to say it that way, but that's exactly how it is. I'll give you a primary example. There was a situation in Springfield that I heard about last week where somebody was banging on the door like 2 a.m, saying, help, 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 you know, like an emergency thing. Open the door and 8 people rushed them. Them, beat the shit out of them, threw them out of their own house.
That's a new thing now. The distress, the baiting the good people in with the distress, fake distress, and then robbing them. That's another reason why maybe subconsciously I don't get involved in those kind of things. And I've been in those situations where I've had the beating on the door for help kind of thing, and I'm like, yeah, I'll help you, 911. You know, like I don't want to necessarily let myself into a violent situation, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it is brutal. Here, I'll show you.
My population, by the way, I was looking up for Oceanside, where I live, 172,199 as of 2022. But that's Oceanside, California.
But even with that population, if you drop 20,000 homeless people in there, that would be a problem.
Right. They do drop off a significant amount. There's probably 20. Oh, there's more than that. I mean, just in Los Angeles alone, there's like a million or something.
I'm just saying, if they dropped them a block from your house,
right? They are.
Are they really? Ooh.
Well, I mean, I go for my walks. As I said, I walk 5 miles now. I probably go, 2.5 miles this way and then back.
Right.
But I probably see 40 homeless people in that time. You know what I mean? Just look a mess,
Yeah.
One guy was walking past today. He was like, had like a golf club, and I had to keep in mind, hey, this guy might rush me or attack me. Yeah. We had another issue. The most recent scary thing that we dealt with here was gangs, like Mexican gang initiation, where they go or maybe, I don't know if it's an initiation, but definitely gang members taking baseball bats and just attacking people here at the harbor.
Sure.
They came down and just randomly started beating people, and then they did it again somewhere else. They finally got these guys, but that's scary stuff to see it turn into like a third world country,
dude. And it is, and thankfully it has not hit my town yet. But I will say, I am much more vigilant. Like today, I went out today, I had some errands to run today.
Right.
Absolutely had the pistol with me and had it out. Wasn't even going to tuck it away or put it in a belt or put it in a holster, nothing. I had it in hand. Did I need it?
Bad,
no.
Huh? That bad.
Well,
there?
Did I need it? No.
Right.
Did I get some weird looks? Yes. But you know what? I guarantee there wasn't anybody saying that's the guy I got to go knock over.
Yeah.
Because they knew they'd catch a bullet. They don't want that. They want the easy targets. Look at this video. I'm going to show you a video. There's plenty of these videos on X.
Okay.
This lady in Springfield speaking at the city council.
Okay.
I'm done with what I'm seeing. It is so unsafe in my neighborhood anymore. I have the homeless that were trying to camp out, and I have made concessions with them, and I try to help them the best I can to keep them. from trying to squat on my property. But it is so unsafe. I have men that cannot speak English in my front yard screaming at me, throwing mattresses in my front yard, throwing trash in my front yard. And I can't. Look at me, I weigh 95 pounds. I couldn't defend myself if I had to. My husband is elderly, and last night, after living in this home for 45 years, he said, Noelle, guess what? It's time to pack up and move. He said, we can't do this anymore. He said, it's killing both of us mentally. I don't understand what you expect of us as citizens. I mean, I understand they're here under temporary protected status, and you're protecting them, and I understand that our city services are overwhelmed and understaffed, but who's protecting us? If we're protecting them, who's protecting me? I want out of this town. I am sorry. Please give me a reason to stay. Thank you.
Yeah, does that scare you to death or what?
Right. Yeah, this seems like a order out of chaos, just intentionally creating this chaos everywhere because there's no reason for it. They have FEMA camps have been set up for years, and we've always wondered what they're going to do with those. That's like in the conspiracy world. Sure. That's been a thing for like at least 10, 15 years now, all these coffins and FEMA camps and all this stuff. But there's definitely a place to, if there's all these like illegal people coming here for some kind of safety or whatever, they could put them in those camps until they figure out what to do. They shouldn't be dumping them in neighborhoods, obviously, or taking down the property values anywhere, sticking them all in the hotels or whatever they do. There's a weird ways they deal with this.
Well, and the worst part about it is more than likely, if you defend your property, you'll be the one going to jail. The cops will not come and get these people out of your yard or out of your house or whatever. But if you pull a gun on them and put it in their face and say, get the fuck out of my house, they will absolutely arrest you for that.
Right.
And they'll take your gun away for not not being a law-abiding gun owner.
Right. They're threatening our happiness in the real world and the virtual world. I just had to like freeze all my credit because I got an alert that on CreditWise or whatever for Capital One that my social security number was on the dark web it was being used, and they started showing that it was they were trying to use it with certain addresses that I've had in the past. Because I've always been an apartment guy, and even though I lived the same one for about 16 years, they were trying to use the places I lived before that, like for places in the 90s and the early 2000s. Now, I don't know if that information is more readily available for free for people, like that it was just a lazy thing and they didn't actually pay to get my current address. Because if they did, they would have been able to like open some credit up. It was also showing the names that they were using, that they were trying to use for it. But this just also happened to Matt, or Matt had frozen his stuff anyway recently, was telling me about it, and that's what made me think of it. CreditWise was like, would you like to act? Do you want to do something about this? And I was like, yeah. And so I hit the button. They go, well, here's the 3 credit agencies. You can just freeze everything right now, and that way no one can open up anything in your name. My credit rate, it basically protects your credit rating for like up to a year or something.
Okay.
Now, if I want to get a new car or something like that, I'm going to have to unfreeze it. And I'll probably have to jump through a few hoops to do that. But this is the first time I've seen my social security number put up there. But there's so many compromised entities that has your shit that everybody's screwed. Like,
what was the one that just got hit like a week ago that was like the biggest one ever? Was that Verizon maybe?
Well, that's maybe where they're getting this. Maybe if it's Verizon, maybe that's how they got it. I've had to use state stuff like, Medi-Cal. I mean, I know they never had the protection necessary for the insurance platforms and state benefits. Obviously, California lost billions of dollars with the unemployment, where like hackers were able to come in and fraudulently collect all these claims and the PPP loans and all that stuff.
Right.
too. Like this, like they just allowed themselves to be ripped off, you know, to a point of negligence that's like unacceptable, you know, to allow all that money, where it's almost like, did you really not know that people could come in and do this? Like, are you a part of this? Was this all by design to just let everything crash around us? Like, in the virtual world, all our credits compromised. You know, inflation's just killing us in the real world. It seems like, you know, they're letting you know, illegal aliens, you know, eat your cats and
it's a mess, dude.
At what point they go, oh, you want our help? Okay, we're going to go on a one world money system now.
Yeah.
We figured out a way to stop you from getting hacked, and just go ahead and sign away this. Because it's just too ridiculous what they're allowing to happen, and just throwing gas on the fire for it to be just by
here's what it was.
chance.
The National Public Data Company, which is like responsible for background checks in the country. So if you've ever had a background check for a job, for security clearance, for you know, whatever.
Well, for flying, I have to go through that to get my TSA pre.
Yeah. See, this says over 270 million Americans have had their social security number leaked.
Well, that's all of us. That's basically
that's everybody.
Yeah.
If you take out, we have 330 million in the country, right? If you take people under 18 out of the equation, that probably leaves 270 million.
Bingo. And I've heard other people, as I tell this story, somebody else is like, hey, mine's up there too. Like everybody, I think all of our social security numbers are suddenly up on there. So,
and that's why we're going to have to, you know, we'll give you a chip that has a special number that's not available anywhere.
It seems like that would be like the only solution, right? I mean, to stop the madness of everybody's been violated through fraud.
Well, we'll fix it. Just put out your arm and take a shot. Fuck you.
Right. Well, that's the problem, because once you go to some kind of digital thing like that, or one world thing, they could just shut you down so easily from there. But in order to get us to give up what we have now, they just have to have chaos on all fronts. And we're kind of watching it in real time now. Yeah.
It is scary. That is for sure, man. That's definitely nutty. So,
well, you want to take a little quick break, and I can refill my coffee, and
and then we'll just do maybe one or two quick things, and we'll get the fuck out of here. Because
sounds good.
We riffed for an hour.
yeah. Well, I think when we come back, we should maybe talk about our flu fighter buddy. Did you see him in the news today?
Who?
Dave, our buddy Dave Grohl.
Oh yeah, we could definitely talk about this.
I'm just thinking of stuff, and of course, if the watchers have anything they want us to discuss.
And I've got something too. I talked to Richie Kotzen today, who said something interesting to me.
Okay, good.
So we'll come back. We'll do a couple things here in a minute. So hang tight. It is Chris Akin Presents.
It's the limited edition 6-big set from Eric Ferrantino's. Get your autograph set today at ericpix.cmspn.com. $25 includes first class shipping.
I drag the floor, the keys to your city. I smash the surface down into your life. I see the signs that we're here for trouble. The hard road and the left behind. Killing time on things that money can buy.
It's the album that changed everything. Metallica's Black Album. In Cause and Effect, Metallica, author Chris Akin takes you back to the lead-up, the release, and the shockwaves that followed. Relive the moment that divided fans, reshaped heavy metal, and turned commercial radio on its ear. With insider stories and personal memories from rock critic and radio personality Chris Akin, this book is a backstage pass to one of rock's most iconic moments. Get your copy now at chrisakin.net or on Amazon. Don't miss out on this epic journey through heavy metal history. What's the most painful way to die? Shotgun blast? Speeding bus? Drowning? But for many, burning alive is the most unimaginable fate. In 1994, Chris survived an industrial accident that left him with burns over 69% of his body. Just living defied all odds. In Call Me Chris, Chris Akin shares his harrowing journey of survival, recovery, and the brutal honesty of facing life after the flames. It's raw, real, and a testament to human resilience. Get your copy of Call Me Chris today at chrisakin.net or on Amazon. Witness the power of determination.
We've all been there. Heartbreak, loss, and the struggle to move on. But few have laid it all bare like Chris Akin. In Little Victories, Chris shares his raw and powerful journey through a brutal divorce. Every painful moment, every emotional battle, and every step toward healing is captured in this honest, unfiltered story. If you've ever been through a tough breakup, Little Victories is the guide you need. Get your copy today at chrisakin.net or on Amazon.